Welcome to Sunday School Junkie, the podcast for anyone who's addicted to reaching kids for the kingdom. Whether you're a brand new volunteer, a veteran teacher, or just looking for inspiration, this is the place for tips, tricks, and stories from the best in Apostolic Children's Ministry. Let's talk shop, share resources, and celebrate the incredible opportunity we have to shape young lives for Jesus. Now let's get started. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go places quite out of the way. You have to go places no others can get to. You have to get cold, and you have to get wet too. That's Dr. Seuss. I love Dr. Seuss. That's from the Lorax, I believe. It's not a book I have memorized, like Have I Ever Told You How Lucky You Are, but it's a good one anyhow. And to me, that really captures the essence of bus ministry, route ministry, in Sunday school. It's, if you want to get these kids, you got to go out of your way. You got to go places no others will go and get cold and wet and put in the work. And today we're going to start a 3-part series. This is going to be episode 1. Really, it's called Everyone is Worth the Effort. And that title is from this interview that I got to do with 4 incredible ladies: Kimberly, my wife, Alicia Wilson, Lindsey Wood, and Whitney Reyes. These 4 ladies have started successful Sunday school routes from scratch. No blueprint, no big bus, just a burden, and it grew, and it's been awesome, and I love their experience. So we sat them down, we got to talking, and we couldn't hardly stop. So I was just going to have 1 episode, but it turned into 3. So in this first part, you're going to hear how they came to know the truth, how God stirred their hearts for reaching kids, and how their routes were born. 1 child, 1 ride, 1 Saturday at a time. So let's jump in. I am here with my sister Kimberly Pelletier. My wife is here. Are you going to introduce yourself, or you want me to go back through my ice cream introduction?
Your ice cream introduction.
Yeah, we're a brownie sundae. We're the brownie sundae. You know, my favorite brownie sundae with mint chocolate chip ice cream. Yeah, that's how this works. You're the brownie, you're the ice cream, you're the whipped cream, you're the sweet maraschino cherry on top, and I'm just a little nuts.
Yeah.
Tell them who you are. Tell them who you are.
He's already said. I'm Kimberly Pelletier. I'm the nutty one's wife.
The nutty one. Okay. That's it? Okay. They all know you. Everybody listening knows you. Who's right there? Who's next to you? Who are you?
Alicia Wilson.
Alicia Wilson. That's as far as it goes? Okay. Well, we'll get more out of you here in a little bit.
And I'm Lindsey Wood.
Lindsey Wood.
And Whitney Reyes.
And Whitney Reyes. All right. So Kimberly, Alicia, Lindsey, and Whitney. All right. We're going to have a talk because you guys, you 3, well, you 2, you 4 are all like the heroes of bus ministry, route ministry, and you're all shaking your heads, but you are. When I think of Apostolic Faith Tabernacles route ministries, you guys all had very, very successful routes. And now you're all doing different things now, but you had very successful routes. So first, I do want to know a little bit more than your names about you. So were you raised in the apostolic truth? And if not, what brought you in? That's where we're going to start. Whitney, you get to go first.
Oh, okay. No, I was not raised in a apostolic home. I was 14 years old when I started coming here. I did not come on a bus. However, I did come with Alicia. I really didn't even know her when she invited me. She worked with my uncle at a water softener shop, and she hounded him forever to come to church with her. And he was like,
I think you just called Whitney, I think you just called Alicia a bulldog.
It is what it is.
It worked. And he said, he just kind of gave her the runaround. And at the time, he lived with us. And I remember I was getting in some trouble and up to no good, just doing that silly teenager stuff.
I thought Whitney was an angel her whole life.
No. And
Objection, Your Honor.
and I was pretty heavily involved in sports and school and stuff at that time, so I didn't have a lot of free time. I was in practice a lot of the time. But my uncle came home, and I was singing in my room, and he's like, "Here, demon llama."
Demon llama?
Yeah, demon llama. He was like, "Here, demon llama, you need some church. You've been getting in trouble lately, and your mom's been on my back about you, and so go to church." And I kind of laughed at it. And I put it in one of my drawers, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll save this for a rainy day." And my rainy day came. And I found it, and I felt compelled to call her. And her and Tony came and picked me up with another gentleman, Frederick. And I forgot that they were going to come pick me up for church, and I was at track practice, and I saw their car, and I was trying to beat them into my driveway, driving down the street.
Racing them.
And I was like, one sec. And went in the house and got cleaned up real quick, came to church, loved, the presence of God that I felt. Thought everyone was a little crazy. I'd been to one Pentecostal church before. It was like Pentecostal holiness, so, it wasn't like us, but didn't have the greatest experience there. And so I was a little scared because, I was wearing, like jeans, not a skirt. And the other place, I didn't really feel that welcomed because I looked different. So I was like, oh no, I'm going to get,
Here, that's in mostly people's in head.
Right.
More in their heads than anything. Like, we don't.
Yeah. We don't even care.
We don't
just
care.
like, we're happy.
We're just glad you come.
Here it wasn't like that at all. And I just remember coming to the front door and feeling the presence of God, and I just knew that there was something different. And almost, I believe it was 20, I've been here 21 years now. Later.
Still a teenager in my head.
Yeah, I am.
Even though she's got a 5-year-old.
Yeah, wait a minute. That doesn't work out. Can't math that with Nathan.
Pretty cool.
All right, Lindsey, you've been raised in this, huh? All your life.
No, I'm a first-generational apostolic. I got in church when I was 18.
We know because your music choices.
Yes.
Just kidding. I might have to edit that out.
Yeah. Let's see, I was 18. I was a senior in high school, and my boyfriend at the time was the one who invited me to go to church. I was going to a Pentecostal church, but it was not Truth. And I was like, "Hey, come go to church with me." And he's like, "No." He's like, "If you want to go to play church, you can go to play church. But if you want to take you to real church, I'll take you to real church." And so we went back and forth, and the whole story there is crazy. But needless to say, I went to his church. And it was totally different because when he went to my church to begin with, then, he came with the dip in his mouth. He had cut off sleeves, holes in his britches, didn't care. But when we went to his church, he had to shower, he had to gel his hair, he had to, iron his clothes. Yeah. Wow. And I was just like, "Oh, what's the big deal?" And he's like, "I told you, woman, if we're going to church, I'm going to take you to church." So we got there. It was crazy, but it was awesome.
That's good stuff. Alicia?
Was I raised in church? Sort of, kind of, half and half, I guess. My parents got divorced when I was like 6 years old. And so my mom moved us away from Oklahoma City. And my grandparents, or my grandmother and my aunt always went to an Apostolic Pentecost church. While I was a child, us kids went to a church, whether it was the Baptist church that the little old lady, Miss McDaniel, always came and picked us up for church, or the Assembly of God church. A bus always came and picked us up. And so the whole time we would go to church, but even whenever like all the kids would be like, "Hey, let's get back, we're having a baptismal service," my mom, even though she was in her backslidden state, she was like, "Well, how are they baptizing?" And us kids, we were just like, "Oh, we're having a baptism, whatever." And she would never let us get baptized or anything like that because those convictions still reigned in her heart, even though she was backslid.
That's good stuff.
And my aunt was born with spina bifida, and she was crippled and stuff, and so her life expectancy was never very long. They didn't expect her to live past like age 2, 4, 6. And then when I was about, I think it was 12, she ended up calling everybody and said, hey, why don't you guys come to church with me, and called everybody in the whole family. I think that was a Saturday night. And the next day, my grandma ended up finding her. She had passed away, but her arms were like open, and she always had a little prayer mat beside her bed. And so that night when she passed away, it kind of got my mom's attention because the day before she had called in and invited everybody to church. And so we felt like we knew she was going, or like she knew that she was going to pass. And so that kind of got my mom's attention. And then we started driving up here for like 45 minutes each way to church up here in Apostolic Faith Tabernacle. And I have been here ever since I was 12 years old.
All right. Kimberly.
I was not raised in church. We were a Easter Christmas play type family. So usually a Baptist church play is what we would go to. I did have a friend from daycare when I was younger that anytime I spent the night with her on a Saturday night, I would end up going to church with her on a Sunday morning. And through all those times that I went with her, I only remember 2 Bible stories. One was about Joseph's coat of many colors. And then as I got older, my mom felt like she wanted to start finding a church. So we kind of visited a few churches, but nothing ever stuck, so we were never consistent. And then to kind of shorten the story, James and I kind of started dating, and kind of sort of, and he got in church, started coming, and invited me, and I came. And I was like, what in the world are these people doing? Running around the whole church, and just, I was so confused, but also in awe, I guess. Because when I was 12, I went to a Baptist, it was like a revival services, pizza, and then service afterward. And I remember feeling God's presence and crying like crazy, and I didn't know why. And I got baptized, of course, not in Jesus' name, but that was really my first real experience with God. And then, so 17 is when I started coming with James, and I got the Holy Ghost before him. But then we ended up getting baptized the same day, a week later, and he got the Holy Ghost that day. So we always say we share the same biological birthday, and we share the same spiritual birthday.
So how did each of you get involved in bus ministry, route ministry? Because we haven't run buses in a long time. You ran a bus, Kimberly, so they can't see me pointing at you. So how did we get involved in route ministry?
Just for me, Kimberly, when we first got in church, we started having Bible study with one of the ladies that was over the bus ministry at the time, and they had a full school bus. She was a lunch lady, and so she had access to all the kids every day of the week, and I just started helping. I was like the third wheel. We had the driver, we had her, which was the captain, I guess you would call her. And then I was kind of the helper because there were so many kids on the bus that they needed someone to kind of help, I guess, coordinate everyone. I remember 1 or 2 Sundays we had over 100. And that was immediately when we got in church. So that's kind of how I got initiated into serving.
And we had like a big yellow bus, right? And then
School bus.
And we kept it pretty full, right? Mm-hmm. You and Sister Shirley.
I remember the yellow bus.
Shirley and Mary.
Yeah.
Mary was the driver. Danny and Mary.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. I remember those days of like 100 kids on one bus. We just had one bus. Mm-hmm.
That would be
I
awesome.
remember seeing that in the front.
Do either one of you remember Sean or Kevin?
I remember when they
Those
came
two
to
were the
Sunday
ones.
school. Yep.
Those two were the ones that I had to sit and kind of push them against the wall of the van to keep them under control. I wasn't mean. I wasn't controlling. I just kept them in control.
They were fun. They were fun. So it was good to see when.
Kevin remembers me.
Yeah.
Like, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
After somebody did that to me, I would remember them too. I'm just kidding.
It was done in love, so they definitely felt it.
It was. They were fun. Like, they were our kids. Like, the kids. Lindsey, how about you?
So when I first started, I was a worker at Harps. I was a night manager, and I had a couple ladies.
We don't even have harps here.
Yeah, no, there's no harps around here. It's crazy. But back home you had them, and so
Where is that? Where's home?
Salina, Oklahoma is
Oh,
where I
okay.
graduated from. I grew up there.
I knew it was a small town. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I always pronounced it wrong.
Up kind of by. That's up in the northeast.
It's by Arkansas, but not
Yeah.
close to Arkansas.
Okay, that's northeast. Yeah. Well, that's why you would have a harps because it's close to Arkansas. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so
Grocery store talk here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
retail. No, but so I was just stalking, and I had, I think, 2 moms come up and like, hey, I want you to pick up my kids. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, come pick them up for Sunday school. I can tell you.
Wow.
I forget exactly how it went, but yeah, it went from 4 to 8 to 12, and I didn't know what I was doing, but we did it, and
Nice.
it was awesome.
And then you got married and moved here.
And then I got married, and I came here. Yep,
You and brother Jerry Burton
Burton started
that route from scratch, right?
Yes.
The route here?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So it was actually at camp meeting, and I think me and Cody had been married for like 2 or 3 years, and I forget who was preaching, but I had just felt bus route. And it was just like one of those 2-3 services, and I was like, Lord, I know you're not talking to me. And
It was.
it was. And he was just like, hey. So I remember I think I sent a message to Pastor, or I called him up. And anyways, I remember we were passing by on the sidewalk out here, and I was like, hey, and I'm thinking in my mind, I'm totally missing the will of the Lord, you know? Like, hey, I don't know how you guys go about doing this, or what I need to do, but like, I feel like I need to help. I would like to do a bus something in Sunday school with the bus route. And Pastor looked at me, and he was like, good, I'm glad. And I was like, is that like a bust or a fail, or like, is that good? And he's like, go talk to Brother and Sister Pelletier. I was like,
you go.
okay. And so that's where we're at now, or was at. I'm not here no more, but you know what I mean.
Now you're doing Kidtricity.
Yes, I get to do Kidtricity, and I
That's pretty
absolutely love it. We're in the Revival Diner.
Go ahead and tell them what that is, because people
So
listening may not know.
Kidtricity is a Wednesday night. We get together at least 2 times a month, and it's ages 5 to 10, and it's basically a VIP, is what I always tell the kids, is because you are the most valuable person to God.
There you go.
And you get we get to meet back in the diner. It switches every year, but this year we're you got Lulu lettuce, Roscoe root beer, Benny ice cream, and you got Miss Patty melt. And we get back there and we get to talk about just little things. We get to do a Bible study, it's a Bible deal.
It's like the power hour.
Yeah,
right?
it's a power hour, yes. And it's very, very great. And we get to, those kids, it's really incredible just what kids can do and how much just, they're not like us. They don't need a lot of get up and go. They're just like, hey. And so you get to make that connection with them, and it's really awesome.
They're a lot more open.
Yes, I feel like the people, they get to see the kids, but when you're back there, you get to see like different layers, and you get to find out who's the most hilarious one, and then who's the one like we're going to be doing this object lesson with these, I don't know, twist things. It's a 3D deal. I'm learning. I'm old. I'm learning. But how their mind works, and when you twist and you turn for God, you go this way. But when you get filled with the Holy Ghost, you get 360, and so you actually get to merge your life and His and merge together, and it goes together, which is really cool. But then it flips, and it's like. And to watch their little brains and like, yeah, this is what happens when you get the Holy Ghost and what they want to be when they grow up, because they don't think they can be much. But then it was like, no, there was a King Josiah who was 8.
There
you know,
go.
and there's, you know, there's your friends, you know. So it's really great. I really
So
love
good.
it.
So good.
I hear about it.
You hear about it, and Nate.
Yeah, every time you guys
Yep,
have
Nate's
it.
old enough to get in there.
Today.
Yeah, Nate actually got to be the little Samson, or no, not Samson, the little boy, Saul, the prophet, Samuel. And so I brought him up, and I was like, okay, his mom just dropped him and said, I love you, behave, and I'll see you next year. And all the kids were like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, she left him there a whole year. And every year she'd bring him a new coat, and they were like, you know, they're like, in their minds, like blown, you know? And so, but yeah,
That right there is where a video podcast would come in handy to see your eyes go big and wide.
Oh, no, their eyes were like huge. And so with this quarter, we're talking about, like, everybody knows Esther, everybody knows, you know, David, everybody knows them as big, but who were they when they're little? And so that's the one that we're talking about of, you've got David, the El Bebe of the family, you know?
So good.
That's awesome.
So.
Whitney, how'd you get roped into route ministry?
I want to say probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years after I got like really in church and established. I just really felt, you know, a burden for kids. And I saw at the time, I jumped on with Sister Norma Bailey. And that was one of that's the one who I kind of learned some ropes, and I just loved how she was with the kids. She took it so personal. I mean, those kids almost lived at her house. And I just saw that side of her where I was like, wow, you know, this older lady has her own life and kids and husband and stuff to do and dishes to wash and laundry to do. But, you know, she's out here and picking up kids and loving on them, making them feel special, and bringing them to her house to, like, bake cakes, like, almost every weekend. And so that was really cool. It just kind of inspired me. I wanted to be like her. I was like, wow, that's so awesome, because, you know, kind of like what Alicia said, how she got in church, you know, before I started coming to AFT, you know, in my childhood, I was always hungry, and I'd be the kid who was waiting for any church to come pick me up. I mean, I went to the Mormon church, the Jehovah's Witness church. I mean, it didn't matter. I had no idea. I'd just be out there waiting for anyone to come pick me up. And so I remember that feeling of just, you know, and it becomes personal, because until you're that kid, you know, sitting on the corner waiting for literally anybody in a church van to come get you, you just won't understand, you know. But yeah, so that's how that started out. And then I did that for a couple years, and then I switched over to Sunday school, did that for like 10 years, and then I went back to bus route, did that for a couple of years, and then I got married.
Husbands.
Yeah.
So you guys did it together, though.
Yeah, we actually, me and Gerson and Alicia, I think, there for a while.
Oh, were y'all on the same team?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
That's when y'all had 3, because y'all did the big van.
Yeah, and we did that, and then Alicia ended up helping elsewhere, and then it was just me and my husband, and then I ended up pregnant with my son, and took a little maternity leave, a little break, and then I just felt God move on me once more, and I wanted to get back in it, and did it again for, I don't know, how long was it? I don't know. For a while. Yeah. Yeah. And it was really cool, because got a lot of new kids, and, you know.
Yep.
It's really awesome.
I want to come back to that in a minute, but Alicia, how about you?
It's just always been part of me bringing somebody to church with me. I mean, I don't even know. I started off with probably bringing my little cousins. I guess it would be Bradley first, my nephew. My sister was backslid, and I just remember going to get him, making sure him and Brandon, my little brother, making sure they were coming to church with me. It didn't matter. I was only there every other weekend, like at my dad's, but I'd make sure, Brandon, we're going to church. Let's go. Getting them up, getting them ready. And so it's always just been a part of it. And then at one point in time, I don't even remember what car I had, but I had it like completely packed out with all my little cousins and my little brother and all of that. And so I think it was just one of those things. They were like, okay, you may not be in the bus ministry, but you're kind of in bus ministry anyway, so we're going to give you a van. And we did end up filling it up. Half of them were related to me, but hey, they were coming to church.
It counts.
They were coming to church, so it didn't matter. I'm sure we're going to cover other things in the questionnaire, but it's very, like Whitney was saying, it's very personal. It's an emotional thing, like being the kid. Like, I knew that if Miss McDaniel, which I promise you, she was probably in her 80s picking me up and my brother and sister in a little Ford Ranger. And I just know that if she didn't pick us up, we weren't going to church. And so just being the child, knowing that if they didn't sacrifice for me, then I wouldn't have been able to make it to church. So I wanted to be that difference for somebody else.
So good. So good. And we'll get back to the story of Whitney here in a minute. But what I figured, I wasn't sure, but now I do know, it all started organically for every one of you. It wasn't like you really, so Whitney, you started with Norma Bailey on a route. Mm-hmm. But you've created at least 2, maybe 3 other routes after that with nothing. Like starting with nothing. Alicia started really with nothing. It wasn't even trying to do a route. It was, I'm going to bring my family to church. Mm-hmm. And you filled up your car, and then it grew from there. And Lindsey, it was like, again, you weren't necessarily at that time, your original one, you weren't looking for it, but it was there, and you filled up your car and then, kept going from there. And that's like, and 2 out of 3 of you mentioned you actually felt like God wanted you to do it. And that's, like, if somebody's wondering, does God want me to fill up my car with kids and bring them to Sunday school? The answer is yes.
Yes.
He does.
Yes. Yes.
So if you're thinking about it, just go do it. And you don't have to have a route or a bus or even a van. Fill up your little Ford, whatever. Yeah. Yep. Fill up your Ranger. What did you say, Ranger?
Mm-hmm. The 85-year-old lady had a little Ford Ranger, and she would pick us 3 up for school. And I remember her taking us to
3 kids won't even fit in the Ford Ranger unless you put them in the back.
I don't even remember. I just remember she was the one. It was Miss McDaniel, and she was the sweetest little old lady. Should I say elderly lady?
It depends. You're getting there.
I know, right? But I remember her taking us to even Vacation Bible School, and I can remember even what I made at Vacation Bible School. And so it's just like, she's gone on now, but it's just like she made that difference in me. So,
and to her, it probably wasn't as big of a deal as it is to you.
That's probably the truth of it, because you never know the influence that you have on those babies' lives.
Man, what a powerful start. I love how every one of their stories began with a simple yes. Yes to God, yes to kids, yes to just stepping out and doing it. They didn't wait for a program. They didn't wait for a title. They just looked around and said, who can I bring with me? And remember that Dr. Seuss quote at the beginning, if you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go places quite out of the way. Next time we're going to get into some wild stories, the funny, the crazy, some heartbreaking moments that come with building a route from scratch. You're not going to want to miss the next one. Check it out. That's it for this episode of the Sunday School Junkie. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all those things, but most importantly, share it with someone in kids ministry. Let's build a community of passionate teachers who are reaching this next generation. And if you're looking for more great children's ministry resources, I highly recommend checking out the Apostolic Podcast Network for even more amazing content. Till next time, keep loving, keep teaching, keep making a difference.